Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, all esteem belongs to the Most High Yahuwah. We back again. Yes, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, man. We are back again. All esteem, all honor, all recognition, all thanks belongs to the Almighty. He alone is worthy. I again am just a vessel. That's all I am. A willing vessel, but I'm a vessel. That's it. And my objective is to do what the Most High leads me to do. And I will continue to do it until the time comes to an end. So all esteem belongs to the Most High. You know, I've been doing these studies for some time now, and I can tell you it's not as what people think. As far as simplicity, there's always challenges that come with bearing the truth. There's always challenges that come with doing the right thing, doing what the Most High has commanded us to do. And our objective is, again, to walk according to the way of the Most High in what we say and do. You know, this is not a gathering, assembly / ministry that wants to do whatever we want to do. We're not trying to, interpret scripture. We're not trying to give philosophical, theological perspectives or views. The objective of this gathering is to make sure that the Most High leads in what is presented on these platforms, these wicked platforms that at the end of the day they're used for communication. That's the purpose of these platforms. That's why it's so much stupidity and ignorance and evil stuff that goes on the platforms, because it's all about communicating messages across the world. And the objective is to keep people inept to truth, to keep them blind to the will, the way, the word of the Most High, and make them comfortable about judgment that he promises he will send on the land. Judgment's already taking place. We're going to look at some of that judgment today. We're going to look at some of that wrath that's hitting the earth as we speak. And the objective is that we don't end up on the side that judgment's on. Well, that we end up on the side of deliverance. Didn't mean to do that there. Click the wrong link. But again, all esteem belongs to the Most High. The world is under the sway of the wicked one. I see you out there from Thailand. Shabbat Shalom, family. I see you all in the comment section. Esteeming the Most High for this opportunity again to use this platform that gets shadow banned, filtered, whatever you want to call it, blocked, because the truth is being presented. Not my version of truth, not the illusion of truth, but truth in context. And that's the reason why, again, the shadow banning and whatnot. But we were told that this was going to be the case. Evil man will suppress truth and unrighteousness. They will conceal truth. They will hide truth. That's why when they crafted the so-called Bibles, they made sure that they took out vital information, key information explicitly about the end times that would unlock knowledge so that you can travel down the road to obtain wisdom and be more prepared for what the Most High has commanded his people to do, how he wants them to walk and navigate in the last days. That was the whole objective, to make sure that you are inept and you are blind to the truth, and that you are happy with being a church goer, that you are happy with being a camp member and whatnot. Nonetheless, we're not happy with anything that isn't pleasing to the Most High. That's the way of the remnant. That is the way of those who are consecrated, who are placed aside in the inner being, in their thought process, their heart, their desires, their passions, and it shows up in the way that they walk. It shows up in the way that they carry themselves. That is the point, again, of why they hate truth. But we are so excited because the Most High is revealing things. He's revealing what the future holds. Not simply just the trials and tribulations, but there are others who are getting glimpses into the wonderful, mighty barakah that is promised on those who love him. Obviously evident by the way we carry ourselves. And we're going to talk about some of those revelations today. We're going to get into some of those revelations that you are having yourselves. Of course, it's always storm before the rainbow. It's always hard times before the sun is shining. So we want to talk about some of those glimpses of the storms that are coming and what is already happening, how they equate to the times we're living in, and again, putting perspective to what we see, scriptural perspective in the context of the word according to what we see, so that way we can draw hope and encouragement from what is revealed to us. It's important to have hope. David said, he said, I would have fainted unless he had believed to see the goodness of Yahuwah in the land of the living. David wasn't just walking around waiting on to get to Shemayim, the heavens, like they teach people in church. Live all kind of wicked, all kind of foul, but you talking about you going to heaven because you said someone's name. No, he said, unless I had believed to see the goodness of who? He didn't say your spouse, your relatives, your cousins, your co-worker, your supervisor, your neighbor. He said the goodness of Yahuwah while he was alive. If he didn't have the belief to see such while he was alive, then he would have surrendered his belief. He would have fainted. He would have tossed in the towel like so many are doing as we speak, and we ought not be those people. Again, that's why we do these studies. That's why I continue to fight through the shenanigans of these digital demonic demon systems out here. And man, I tell you, it gives me hell every time I try to produce or put together content that is explicit to truth. All kind of stupid, wonky things happen with the system because it was designed by the children of the devil for the children of the devil. But nonetheless, we're going to do just like Joseph Yaosa did in Egypt, Mishraim. He took the enemy's benefits and maximize the will of the Most High to protect and to flourish the people. So we're going to use these old stupid platforms that belong to the wicked, and we're going to get some truth out here. And we're going to talk about the eternal promises. Yes, the eternal promises, not the temporary promises, not the promises that come with, headache and heartache and pain, not the perishing, fading promises. I can see that old fake book did not allow my stream to show up in the feed of the Facebook page that I use. They do that deliberately. And the reason they do that deliberately, because if you don't see it in the feed, then you have to go look for it. So I'm going to try to share it, but nonetheless, it probably won't happen. I've had this stupid thing happen more than once. That's what the wicked do. They do this nonsense again to discourage you so that you can quit, that you can throw in the towel. That's the whole objective, throw in the towel. Currently says 0 viewers on this platform. Really? Let me stop pulling that up. But nonetheless, again, that's how the wicked do. Yep. So you have to actually click on the link to find the video. That's what they do. But I rejoice in tribulation because I know that the wicked only, especially the Jews, they only come after the systems or the people that use their systems when they don't go along with their Revelation 2:9's imposter fraud narrative. Somebody said that's the winter house. I'll tell them stop listening to the devil because he make you look and sound real stupid. That is the children of Hashatan, period. That's why they lie and do it comfortably. But nevertheless, we're going to talk about the reason why the true chosen people, whether they be of the natural branch or wild branch, did not give up, did not surrender the inheritance. And yes, there is an inheritance for the nations, the so-called Gentiles. We're going to look at that verse here, but we talk about it quite often. Gentiles do obtain an inheritance if they love the name of the Most High, Yahuwah, if they honor his Shabbat, hold fast to what he loves. He said, I promise to bring you to his Kadesh mountain and give them a name better than sons and daughters. So for all you Gentiles out there that think you don't have a seat because of some Hebrew Negrolite, don't follow that ignorance. Don't follow that stupidity. It's thoroughly written all in the scripture. And before Jacob and Esau was born, the promise was already given to Abraham when he was called Abram. Said you said through your seed all nations. Before he even spoke about Esau and Jacob, he said all nations will experience the barakah of the Almighty. But we'll talk about that a little bit as we go on. But nonetheless, do not be distracted, beloved. Do not be distracted by all the shenanigans that is saturating the earth as we speak in their false narratives about this, that, the other, your mama and your brother. It's sad and tragic what is happening, but this is not simply happening because of poor politics, horrible policies, or the rise of a corrupt regime. This nation was corrupt from the day it existed. The people who concocted the narrative of how they created was corrupt. Their intent was corrupt. Everything they did and they still do was corrupt. It's a people who establish a nation that have no, and I mean absolutely no, desire to turn from the vileness in which they do. And at the worst of it all, people suffer. Lives are lost. But unfortunately, many people are not with sight. They are not with sight or hearing from Shemayim to understand that what is happening in America / Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, is judgment. Everything that we see happening today in the land is judgment. Whether it is from over there to the Venezuela deal, your economic status, your pension, pharmakia, sorcery / pharmaceuticals, it's all judgment that's happening to this nation. You name it, it's all taking place. And whenever you look in the word, people lose lives under judgment. This nation is not coming back to something called great because it never was there. It was never established by the Most High. He never gave them the green light to do such as far as the story they've been told or they tell people. This nation was explicitly designed by the wicked to be the catalyst that brings the world into the beast's last final wicked kingdom. That you need to wrap your head around. That is something you need to, if you haven't already, come to accept wholeheartedly. Nothing good has ever and will ever come out of this nation except for the people who belong to the Most High. when the Exodus take place. All that we see, as I said before, is nothing but theater. It's theater. We are watching the theatrics of a nation coming to an end, of an empire falling, and people are falling down with it. And the objective is that you are emotionally attached, that you are physically, internally, emotionally, mentally attached to the theatrics, the narratives in which they portray. That is the objective. The objective is that when they pull strings, you dance. When they tell you this person is causing that, then you respond. You show up, you protest, you rally, because you want they want you to have the desire to want the so-called freedoms that they've claimed you have. The very people, again, who created this nation and oppressed people, the whole objective is that you seek after with all your might in pure desperation for the freedoms they told you were supposed to vote for. And if you don't vote, if your vote don't count because it's corrupt, then you down take up arms and all that other nonsense, all to fight for an illusion of freedom, of success, so forth and so on. In all reality, the scepter of Babylon is broken. It is. No one respects this nation no more. It respects none of its leaders. There used to be a time when you had a horrible, ridiculous president in office, but there was some type of secretary of something or some type of advocate that would speak on behalf of the nation because of the leader was horrible. They have none of that now. Anybody who speaks on behalf of America is looked at as an idiot, as a worthless, lying clown. They want nothing to do with this nation. And the people who do, they have to be bought. They are being paid, literally, whether it's through financial gain in their own personal pocket for the land they may oversee, or they add Walmarts to the nation. They just started to build, or starting to build, if they haven't already, the very first Walmart in so-called Africa. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to buy loyalty, because no one respects the scepter of this nation anymore, because everyone knows it is broken. And as the word tells us, Yahuwah has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers. Yashayahu, Isaiah 14:5. It is a broken. And you look real silly standing up there trying to rule with a broken scepter. You look dumb. But that's the narrative that they don't want you to realize. So they have the so-called leader of the nation comes out and gives his spiel on what happened that day, as far as that lady who passed. And his statement is obviously ridiculous in comparison to the event. But if you are emotionally attached to Babylon, then yes, they won, because now you're irate and you want to go out and make change. You want to make a difference. You want to stand up to the regime. You're doing exactly what they want you to do. I found out years ago the best protest is no protest. Imagine if people stopped showing up. Imagine if they stopped participating. Yeah, but they can't, because their heart doesn't belong to the Most High, it belongs to his age. And the word tells us clearly, whoever has any type of friendship or love for this world, in any way, shape, fashion, or form, the love of the Most High does not sit in their inner being. So if they don't have his love, then what do they have? His hatred. It's only one, there's no middle ground. If you don't have the love of the Most High, then you have what he hates. Again, the narrative, right? They call it domestic terrorism. Right? Domestic, I mean, come on, if you ain't got common, I ain't gonna say common because stupidity is common now, but if you don't have decent sense, then you would miss this. You got to have at least decent sense and realize, just look at the background, right? Look what they're doing here. You got the National Guard, you have this the guy with the black, apparently he's an ICE agent, and then you have your Border Patrol here. They're all unifying everywhere but where they ought to be. They should be at the border. Soldiers should be overseas. But they've literally brought the troops into the land and all the enforcement against the so-called threat of migration. And the narrative is domestic terrorism. They want you to buy into their stupid agenda so that you can fall when the nation goes down for its last cliff dive. The only thing left to defend is perception. That's it. You can no longer defend your so-called freedoms, the illusion thereof. You cannot defend your so-called freedom of speech, your whatever, religion. It's all now about perception. That's what America is trying to defend, because you have the World Wide Web with a camera now in every hand. And it's easy to project the reality of this nation across the world to other nations. So what really happens may get played, but what really is being spoken about it will be downplayed or pushed aside or completely eradicated from the narrative that is being seen, because they want people to believe that somehow America is still not a power in the nation to be feared. No one fears this nation anymore. It is clear. Clear as the sky is when they're not crop dusting it. This is America when it looks in the mirror. A warrior, a hero, a savior, a redeemer, a fighter for justice. I don't know if you ever watched these movies, the Avenger movies, but there was one of the movies, the clip where this guy, Captain America, says, watch your mouth, to someone that said a cuss word. And they were kind of messing with him as the movie went on about him being so properly decent. All that was, again, create an image of pure and righteousness and consecrated warrior. But the truth is, America looks just like this when the veil is removed. Nothing but a wimp, nothing but a loser, nothing but a backstage clown that cannot do anything other than lie, steal, and kill. And now it's exposed on the front page. And it's not that it hasn't happened for ages. It's just most people were blind to the truth because they were chasing so-called success. Y'all remember 2020, the year of so-called clear vision? Everybody and their mama was talking about how they can be successful. Yes, how they can be successful if they were to just fire their boss, right? Just to go ahead and let your boss know that you're over. It's over. I don't want to work for you anymore. I want to be my own boss. I want to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, and all that other shenanigans that they tell you, right? The whole objective was for what? To make you feel like you're being somebody and doing something, that you're in control of your life, that you run your life. There were posts all over the place talking about the so-called rise of America, the so-called, rise of the independent person to be successful. All that so-called nonsense took place. But here's the truth. They knew it. That's why the flip was script and Scare 19 was released. And it shows you just clear how clear your vision really is. What really happened in so-called clear vision year was the exposure of the nation. Where you can go right into Revelation 18 and pinpoint every aspect of this nation and all its silly allies. The Most High declares that he who sits in the Shemaims laughs. Yahuwah holds them in derision. This is what David said in Tehillim, Psalm chapter 2, verse 4. The Most High is literally laughing at the nations. He's laughing at the wicked. And he holds them in contempt. He's not concerned about their plan. He oversees time and eternity. And the judgment that he is sending on the land is just and righteous. So when people unfortunately lose their life It's not that the Most High is asleep. It's not that he's evil. Justice and righteousness will prevail. It just won't look like what the world shows you in their illusion of their corrupt justice. This is why David also said, rest in Yahuwah, wait patiently on him. Do not worry about the one who prospers in his way, about the man who carries out wicked schemes. This is Tehillim's 37:7. So when they plot and they put on their Hellywood shows, their stage performances before the eyes of the people, make it look like they're doing something important, that they're planning something good. And we all know at the end of the day, they're doing nothing but being vile. He said, don't lose your patience. He said, wait on the Most High. Wait on him. He will handle it. He always will. He always has. And as you see again, as we see right now, it's happening as we speak. The wicked will be repaid. And it is coming soon. Very soon. The confirmation of the end of the age. This is went back. I remember when I first came to the knowledge of the truth, when I awakened to the realities that were always there, just hidden in plain sight. I went and read the Apocalypse of Baruch. Came up on this book here. And I didn't understand. Obviously, I was fresh out of the prison of lies. So I had to really get a revamp and rethinking of my brain and unlearn some stuff. But nonetheless, I went back and read it. And I completed another read through just the other day. And it gets more clear. Again, going back, letting the Ruach Hamat, the breath of truth, lead you. But there's 12 parts in the scriptures in this book here that they didn't want you to have in your so-called Bible, that talks about, that pinpoints the ages, that pinpoints the seasons, the times and events, so you can clearly see where we are, what is coming, and of course, where we came from, where the world has come from. All right. So we're going to look at the prophecy about these 12 parts briefly, so you understand. But nonetheless, the black waters, he talks about their Baruch saw a vision of different waters. Let's kind of give a recap real quick. And those waters either were black or bright. The black represented sin, transgression, fall, judgment, rebellion, etc., etc. The white or the bright represented the restoration, the justice, judgment, or not judgment, but restoration, redemption, deliverance. So the first one he sees was the transgression of Adam, what he did in the garden, which released death, corruption, grief, and dominion over darkness into the created order. So instead of ruling over darkness, darkness came into the order of creation and caused what we see now today. People in the political arena lying without a blink of an eye, telling you they're telling the truth. Then we have the bright waters that follow. That bright waters, so far as what the scripture just shows us in this apocalyptic book, is Abraham and his seed rises, establishing covenant trust, obedience in the instruction, living hope, and the promise of renewal. And we know this again, all this ties into, when you read Baruch, you realize it's not a separate book as far as it's speaking of variations of things. It just gives you more deeper understanding of what, again, they did not want you to read in your so-called Bibles that was printed in China. But after these bright waters came more black waters. The third part, the nations multiplied lawlessness. Mizraim or Egypt enslaves and corrupts the people, and widespread wickedness fills the earth. This is why there was a famine that happened before Yosef went into Mizraim. And he went in there for what purpose? To preserve not just him and his brothers, but to save many people alive. So yes, he was treated vilely after sharing his dream with his brothers, and they sold him into slavery. He ended up working as a slave in Egypt and Potiphar's house, and ended up landing into the prison because of a corrupt woman that lied. But it wasn't for evil, though it was meant for evil. It was for the good of the tribes and to save the people who are of the nations as well. Okay. Nonetheless, what follows those black waters is another bright waters, part 4. Moshe, Haran, Miriam, and Yahoshua, bringing forth the instruction, revealing the order, righteous judgment, and light to those dwelling in darkness. All this at the end of the day was the law, Torah, given to the people who had went super sideways after their rebellion before the 7-year famine that came on the land, and after, when they were in the land. When Joseph died, another Pharaoh rose up, oppressed the people, and forced them even deeper into corruption and whatnot. Follow that redemption came another season of black waters, the Amorite corruption, sorcery, idol service, and the compromise of Yasharel defiled the land despite signs from above. Despite all the Most High had did, they again fell into corruption, doing what the wicked do, and thus judgment fell on them. Then comes redemption from this, another sight of bright waters. David and Shalom or Solomon reigns, and rest in Zion is built. Wisdom increases, judgment is upright, and righteousness is established. It was a very beautiful time when David finally took the seat after the nonsense that happened between him and Saul. And then, of course, Solomon comes on the back end and continues until he starts messing around with the wicked, right? All them corrupt women that he had of the nations. Black waters follow that. Jeroboam rebellion, idol service, famine, moral collapse, and the exile of the northern kingdom unfold. Remember, the kingdom was split into two. You had the southern and the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom was 10.5 or 2.5 tribes. Yehuda, Benjamin, with some of the Levites that were dispersed among them. And then you had the rest of the tribes, the other 10.5, which is again the 10 that were not the 2. And Levites was the half scattered among them, according to the Most High's promise. Follow that was the bright waters arising again with Hezekiah. Trust brings deliverance. Ashur is struck down. Zion is preserved, and the name is honored throughout the earth. A lot of rebellion happened, but justice prevailed again. Then we get back to the black waters. Manasseh reigns, fill the land with bloodshed, desecration and abomination, awakening righteous judgment. That's what the Most High was, kind of coming to the brim with the nonsense. But we get the bright waters arise again, the 10th part. Yahushua restores covenant purity, removes idols, esteems the instructions, and is appointed an enduring reward. Then we go back again to the 11th part, black waters, the fall of Zion, the boasting of the nations, exile, shame, and the present desolation of Yerushalayim. Okay, when this is being discussed to Baruch, he's talking to the Most High. This is being revealed to him. He communicates not just with the messenger from Shemayim, but he communicates with the Most High directly as well. And he tells him the desolation of the 11th part is the first, or the desolation of Jerusalem is the 11th part, the first desolation in which they were currently in when this was being revealed to them. This is important to realize, so you can track time and understanding and help realize that the Dust Bowl over there, people calling the Promised Land, is very much not it. It's Hoodwink Central. Then we get to the final black waters, which is the final deliverance, brings the restoration of Zion, the downfall of enemies, joy to the loyal remnant, and the nearing of the consummation, meaning the nearing of the time of basically watching the clock. A wonderful final end. The restoration, rise of Zion, and the downfall of the enemies, right? This is where we're at now. We are coming into this. We're at the 12 part. We are moving through the 12 part as we speak. To help solidify this reality, let's read from the book of Baruch, second book of Baruch. But as for you, if you prepare your hearts, is what he tells the people who want to know where he been, so as to sow in them the fruits of the instruction, it will protect you in the time when Alua is about to shake the whole creation. Okay, this is also spoken of in the so-called Bible. Because after a little time, the building of Zion will be shaken so that it may be built again. This is talking about the second temple. Okay, because remember, Revelation is going out about when the first temple has already been destroyed. The southern kingdom is already in Babylonian captivity. Baruch was a scribe and a messenger with Jeremiah. It says, building that building will not remain. And after a time, it will again be uprooted and will remain desolate until the appointed time. Again, another witness here showing that Dust Bowl is not the land over there in the Middle East. Right? It says remain desolate until appointed time. And afterward, it must be renewed in esteem and perfected forevermore. Therefore, we should not be greatly distressed over the evils that has come now, but over that which is still to come. He's not talking about the second temple destruction. He's talking about the great tribulation. He said, for there will be a greater trial than these two afflictions when Alua renews his creation. 2 Baruch 32, 1-9. This is an important piece to understanding what Baruch was being told and what he was being shown and what really made sense about what is happening to the world now. The tribulation of the first temple was never about the world per se. That's why the scripture talks about Jacob's trouble, and we've covered this in a series, in a study, and we spoke about it last week. Jacob's trouble is not the transatlantic slave trade, is not civil rights, it's not Jim Crow. Jacob's trouble is actually the great tribulation. It's a time of trouble that has not been since man was created. And it will be a time that will not be like it again. And this is the one that the Most High tells him to warn those of the house to concern themselves not with the destruction of the second temple, which is a very horrific account that took place. Much death, much scattering, much bloodshed, and a lot of all kind of lies and whatnot that took place on that day. He said your focus should be on the final that will be greater than these two events. And that is the one that is knocking on the door as we speak. This time is at the door, beloved. Make no mistake about it. I don't care who's in office. I don't care what sequel they're going to produce to help fool people to think there's hope. We're at the door. The word tells us very clearly, the Most High said, and they will know that I am Yahuwah when I scatter them among the nations and disperse them throughout the lands. Yahaskel 12:15. He said his people will know in Ezekiel him when he scatters them around the world. Now, that doesn't make any logical sense, right? It would make more sense for them to know him before they scattered him. But he did it opposite. Again, he chose the foolish things of the world to put to shame the wise. He wanted his people to know him in other nations. So why? Why did he want them to know them in other nations? Because right here, it's at the first sentence, sowing to the fruits of instruction, not your fruit into the church preacher's pocket, not your fruit how many people you brought to church, but your fruit in the law. You sowing into the law and producing lawful living. Not the law was done away with, which means your redemption was done away with. But he used them, scattered them, planted them around the nations so that they can be evidence of him. So when he wakes them up to who he is, he reverses Deuteronomy chapter 32, when he removed the memory from the people of who they are, from mankind. When he reverses that, then the world may know who he is through his people. Yes, that's how he does it. So the silly people who run the world can't try to duplicate it. They try with the whole so-called return to Dust Bowl, the so-called 1948 shenanigans, but it all fell apart once you opened up the book and your eyes was able to see the heresy. But nonetheless, again, the scattering took place. He put his people elsewhere. They thought they were Negro. They thought they were so-called black. They thought they were this, that, and the other. But then he removed the veil. He took the scales off their eyes and realized, nope, we are none of those bywords, as he said that would happen in Deuteronomy 28, but we're actually Hebrew. Again, not all so-called black people are Hebrew. Understand that. As far as from the lineage of Jacob, Abraham had several sons, 8 to be exact, according to what's recorded. But there will be rebels and there will be imposters who will try to claim what don't belong to them. And the word tells us also in the apocalypse of Peter that many will become sons of perdition. They will not be initially the sons of Hashatan, but by their false teachings, their false declarations, their false prophecies. Scripture says that they will actually be converted into Hashatan's children. However, in his promise that he made to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, or Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham, he said, for Yahuwah of hosts says, yet once more, in a little while, I will shake the Shemaims, the heaven, and the earth, and the sea, and the dry land, and I will shake all the nations, and the desire of all nations will come, and I will fill this house with esteem, says Yahuwah of hosts. Looks like the scripture here got cut off, but it's Yahaskal or Ezekiel 13:15 is what I think it is. Always something stupid when I'm doing these truth sessions. But nonetheless, moving on, that is what is promised, is that he will shake, as Baruch himself witnessed through his own hearing, his own experiences, and he was fasting. I want to say it was 4 or 5 times, 7 days each, before the Most High, as the Most High continued to reveal greater revelation or deeper revelation to him. It's a powerful understanding. You need to grab hold of that. Fasting. Put down that chicken. Stop eating McDonald's. Stop eating all that garbage. But definitely take some time to fast. Set yourself aside. Not just don't do no darn Lent fasting and say you're going to put aside some video games for a couple days. Fast. You don't know what fasting really is, you can go to Moving Mindset Ministry /The Truth. Click on the fasting tab and you'll see a good breakdown, a scripturally backed breakdown of what it is to fast. But nonetheless, you see great revelation is confirmed here as a second witness that he will shake the earth again. Horrific, powerful shaking of all nations in order to bring home his chosen ones. Those who produce righteous fruit are the only ones desirable to Yahuwah. Not your skin color. Get it right. Not your so-called, not the lineage you think you belong to, that you ain't confirmed with somebody told you because you look like you was from a certain part of the planet. You look like you was an islander, so you're supposed to be the tribe of Benjamin. All this dumb stuff I hear people say that's nowhere supported in the word in any way, shape, fashion, or form. But he said that he's going to shake those who are the nation, that those who are desirable to him will come and fill his house with esteem. But prior to that feeling of esteem, there is going to be horrific tribulation as the world has not seen. What you are seeing today is nothing but birth pains of tribulation. And it's amazing how much a person can be stirred over one person's death, protesting the so-called Gestapo goons. That's just one person. And it's happened more than once, but look at the frequency in which it happened. It's kind of spread out. Imagine it being time. The frequency is like those contractions when it's literally time to push and deliver that baby. Yeah, there won't be enough news channel to cover what's going on. This is why the sent one with Yahusha declared, and children will rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death. Yes, this is a significant piece to what is happening as we speak, and much more to come. And it's going to help you understand some of the dreams that you are having out there that you were sharing with me, those of you who share. But Mark chapter 13, verse 12, there's going to be a manifestation of children who will lay waste to their own parent. We're in the early stages of the trimester, what they call it, where the woman is having her pregnancy is kind of developing, right? We haven't hit that climax of those contractions yet, but it's coming. What will lead to the great rebellion? Parents having to deal with evil children who want to lay waste to them in great numbers. Again, not enough that the news can cover. The truth is that screen. That's going to be the trick, the trigger that pulls kids into evil, unseen in the world before. Yes, there is nothing new under the sun. Make no mistake about it. There is nothing new under the sun. But new doesn't mean it can't get worse. And again, we know the word says that there will be a time of trouble which the world has not yet seen. And that time of trouble will be heavily moved by the evil that will come by way of children who will grow up following the system of the beast. They will be attached to it. This is why we're seeing remnants of this, or we're seeing a rise of it right now. Wisconsin boy, 10 years, charged for laying waste to his mom because of a video game purchased through Amazon. Yeah. 10 years old over a stupid video game. Okay. Purchase. And we have an 8-year-old that sadly puts grandma down after he gets through playing a video game, gets up, grabs a shooter and pum, takes out grandma, 90 years old. 13-year-old boy allegedly shanks mom until she passes away during a fight over some video game. 13-year-old over a stupid video game. Florida student. This is one that got more attention on the news. Big burly high school student, I think he was. The teacher took his Nintendo Switch from him. And if the people didn't show up, that lady would not have been alive. The way he was pounding her into the ground because he lost his Nintendo Switch. Right? And of course, the mother says it's mental health. No accountability age we live in. The system is going to be horrific. Everybody want to do evil. They want to be trifling parents. Lazy, incompetent, don't give a damn parents. And as soon as trouble hit, it's mental health. No, it's not mental health. It's called horrible parent. It's called being an infidel. This is not a condition. It is demonic possession. That's exactly what it is. They want to call it conditions so that you don't address it correctly. Think about it. Call it a condition. And what do? They treat conditions. Conditions treated never get cured. All it does is get attached even deeper to pharmakia, sorcery. And before you know it, your soul is fully engulfed in the beast. And the only thing you're good for is the lake of fire. They tell you what it is on the surface, but again, eyes to see and ears to hear, you will know clearly. They say it's brain hijacking, floods the brain with dopamine, causing gamer rage when the game ends and making real life feel boring. How many times you done heard kids say that? It's boring when they can't get on the game. When they can't put their face to the screen. Oh, it's boring around here. I was just telling my wife just the other day. I thought my parents were evil when they said we couldn't go outside. I love going outside. I've been to school all day, but I never cared about school anyways. But I went to school all day, but as soon as I got home, all I thought about was whatever I got to do so I can get outside, get on my bike, ride, throw the football, kick some dirt around, do something. I wanted to be outside. Today, it's completely opposite. You tell a child to turn off a video game, they turn into a retarded zombie. You know, and if you don't got that, if you haven't given them that inside of them, that when you give them that look, then they're gonna give you that look. My kids know what time it is. You give me that look, and I'm gonna tell them one time about that story of Marvin Gaye. Y'all read about that story. Nonetheless, executive failure weakens impulse, control, and focus, making it physically harder for kids to stop or pay attention in school. Then you have sleep mode and crash, right? Sleep mood crash. Blue light blocks sleep hormones, leading to exhaustion, morning grumpiness, and higher anxiety. This is all that affects kids because they stick their head in the screen. Social and emotional decay replaces real life talking with online habits, sending you an emoji instead of typing out what the heck they're trying to say, right? Lowering empathy and making face-to-face interaction stressful. I used to have this conversation a whole heck of a lot with a lot of parents because I used to deal with when I ran gyms, I owned a gym and sports teams and all that stuff. I used to deal with these kids that couldn't seem to actually have a real conversation. They couldn't look you in the face and talk to make any sense, you know, because again, their brain was breaking down because it was expecting to respond with an emoji or some type of weird reaction, a meme or something like that. All right. And then you have stress loop. Right? Kids keeps the body in fight or flight mode. Kids are causing kids to use screens to hide from the very stress the screen creates. Yep. I dealt with a lot of kids, sadly, that are not able to communicate at all. Their speech is messed up because as growing up, instead of a parent sitting down or relative sitting down and having a real life human conversation with them, they pass them off to a tablet and they give them some headphones and let them zone out. And what should be developing as natural human communication abilities go into some closet in their head and never come out. Sometimes they do. I've heard miraculous stories. Kids being 10, 12 years old and speaking for the first time, right? But why go through that? But nonetheless, this is the surface stuff that they tell you, the symptoms, but behind it all, it's all demonic possession. You go back and you look in the word and see the type of things that people did in the word and they needed healing for. They were under demonic possession. Yahushua came along and set them free. Yahushua ain't setting people free these days. He's handing them over to the destruction in which they deserve because they refuse to turn. Yes, that's the stage we're living in, and these children are going to rise up and become the very instrumental tool that is used to bring judgment on the nations. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. If you don't believe me, then you're going to be in for one hell of a rude awakening. Know this, that in the last days, perilous times will come. We're in perilous times now. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1-5. And most people don't realize it. They think they're in a season of hard times, struggles, and setbacks, bad politicians, corrupt governments. We need to overhaul the system. We need to go ahead and, drain the swamp. All these stupid terminologies they use. No, this is perilous time that is explicitly commanded that would come as a form of judgment on the earth because they despise the law of the Most High. They hate his laws. They cannot stand his messengers that bring forth truth. Remember, The fourth and final evil kingdom is iron mingled with clay, machine mixed with the seed of man. This is Daniel. You saw it, the toes of the statue. It was the last kingdom that will exist before the wicked are finally plucked from the earth. This is why it tells us that in Top Choice, their results of a study shows that over 57% of Generation Z and approximately 1 in 3 kids from ages 8 to 12 report that they would become a social media influencer if given the chance, making it the #1 career aspiration for youth in the US and the UK. So you have kids, again, 8 to 12, and the numbers I've seen even further than that in other studies that show that most kids want to influence the world through social media / anti-social media. The truth is that Generation Zombies want to influence a world that will be more evil than any time in history. That's the real truth. If I wanted to be, I used to be a personal trainer. I used to have my own, clients and whatnot. I had to influence my clients in order to get my clients and maintain my clients. But I couldn't influence my clients with a donut. I couldn't walk into a training session eating a big old piece of pizza. I had to look the part. I had to play the role. I mean, I enjoy fitness even to this day. I like being healthy. But nonetheless, I couldn't come in there eating a sloppy Joe burger, telling them to get in shape. They'd look at me like I'm a clown, and I wouldn't have too many followers. So what do kids have to do today in a world that is more evil and worse to come in order to be an influencer to the people of the world? They got to play the part. They got to fit the role. They got to fill in the blank and make sure that when they obtain their so-called influenced people, they can maintain them. That's where we're at today. Who do you think will lead the world into the final kingdom of the beast? It ain't going to be me. I didn't grow up with a phone. I didn't grow up with electronics. We had a Nintendo, and when that thing, got too hot, stopped working, you blew on the cartridge a little bit. You put your shirt over the cartridge. Who remembers that? And you're blowing it real quick. Take some alcohol and Q-tip and try to clean it out, stick it in, push it down a certain way. You remember that? And after enough of that, man, forget this. I'm going outside. I'm going to run around, play, do that. Kids don't do that today. They will work their brain hard as they can so they get that thing working again, whatever it may be. And if they can't get it, look out. Boom. Here they come. Zombie mode. Yes, that's what's coming. That's what's happening. They will be the transition of the world that will literally usher the nations all around the world, the lawless, the rebellious, the idol chasers. They will usher them in to the fourth and final kingdom. Now I hope you don't think this is far-fetched. By no stretch of the imagination, I hope you don't. I hope you have eyes to see and ears to hear. Look at how much parents do today for their children's video games. How much do they spend? How much effort do they put into their video games? For a child to rise up and take the life of their parent over a video game, it means that they must have had a lot of influence in that child becoming addicted, possessed by that game. Parents do a lot for their children today, way more than parents did back then. But when parents did it back then, it wasn't for their entertainment. You got out of line with my daddy over some video game, he'd take that game and throw it down the street and then hit you so hard with his hand, smack you in the head that your hearing was out for a little bit. And people, oh, that's child abuse. Shit, I'm glad I got that child abuse. To see what I see today with kids, yeah, and only the Most High be keep me from pulling my hand out and doing what my daddy did. But that's what's going to happen, beloved. Do not be fooled. All you parents out there need to take heed. You need to take heed. I had a message that came to me in a dream about this. I want to show you here in a second, but oh yeah, here it is. The dream, the confirmed dream from last night should be confirming. They go that typo, the typo coming back. Show you how much I hated school, especially the English Babylonian language. Anyways, in the dream, I was leading, interestingly enough, a study of the 12 parts and arrived at the end. I was actually taking people through the 12 parts. And they were showing up like it's kind of like what you're seeing in the picture here, like little candles, but they were balls, right? Lights at any time we hit the part and discussing them. And so oddly, I heard in the dream, Children of the Corn. Now, I've never seen this movie before. I've heard people talk about it. They've seen it. So I had to go do some research on this movie because I've never seen it. I've never been a fan of watching so-called scary movies and stuff like that. Right? It's not my thing. It's one thing if you're looking at it, digging through, deciphering lie from truth or something like that. Maybe you've been led to watch it by the Most High. I don't know. Right? I've never really been led to watch a movie to figure out what's real or what's not. But I've never been a fan of these kind of movies by any stretch of the imagination. I always thought low of people who were intrigued of watching. They were excited about watching this type of stuff. But anyways, in the dream, before I had awakened, of course, I was asking myself, and I was searching in the dream, who was taken into the cornfield, which messenger was taken to the cornfield. And in the dream, what came to me was Yashayahu. Isaiah was taken into the cornfield. That was in the dream. And that's not when I again woke up and started looking into the study. I actually kind of had to Google this movie to figure out what it's about and what it means. And it's a clear indication again of what's coming. So what I found in the movie, according to what the movie is that there were basically this so-called leader shows up and starts to convince these children that their parents are the reason for the corn not growing anymore in the field. And by this, they ended up deciding to persecute the parents, right? As if it was in the time of the fake crucifixion of the fake Messiah on the cross. In that situation, they would crucify them in this way. And the book, from what I read, as far as understanding the book's version of it, because the book was written before the movie was created, it was about the blood. Right, they had to get the parents' blood, and the blood was the reason to change the drought or whatever was happening that caused the corn not to grow. So again, he was a so-called minister with his so-called doctrine that led these kids to believe that if they take out their parents, and they can finally get grain or corn again back in the land, and that's exactly what these kids did. Right? Cruel, vile, evil nonsense, right? And the regime grew quite heavily. All the kids got involved, and it was literally after every parent to take them out, crucify them, destroy them. Again, I'm talking for what I read. I didn't read the book, but I got the gist of it to know why the dream even came to me. And there was this guy named Malachi that was the enforcer. They called him Malachi. He was basically the preacher's muscle. They went around and did the dirt, make sure the dirt got done, and the kids stayed in line because of this guy right here in the middle, right? This is why many of you are having dreams of zombie children, right? This is why you had the dream. Someone asked me the other day about why they see zombie kids running around in their dream, and I've had several people reach out to me. I've had a dream myself. My wife had a dream. Other people reached out to me, wanted to know why they had zombie dreams. So the Most High, as I explained to them what the Most High revealed to me, but he gives me, again, even a deeper understanding. And obviously this understanding is going to be relatable to people who've watched this movie. And that's why the Most High gave, because he wants the people that watch this movie to realize what you're getting ready to see if you don't turn the corner on what's going on in your household. All right. Scripture tells us again, children will rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. The ideology in that movie was simply about kids feeling the parent were at fault for them not receiving grain. What is grain? Food. right? The nurturing of the child, nutrition. They were not receiving the nutrition, and the parents were responsible. So they came after the parents to take them out. That's exactly what we're seeing again with the whole digital side of what's happening. Kids are blaming the parents for what they believe their nutrition is, which is video games, electronics, tablets, whatever the case may be. And they raise hell against their parent, grandparent, whoever, teacher, up until the point where some of them take them out. This is why so many dream of zombies, mainly see. This is why so many who dream of zombies mainly see so-called white people. Now, don't get in your feelings. Again, we're not on the skin color nonsense here. Okay, we talk about truth. All right, so get out your feelings so you understand what's coming, so you can be prepared. This is, again, the message goes out to everybody. But there's this reason why you're seeing explicit. Most people I've talked to have shared their dreams, said they've seen in their dreams completely all so-called white people or all so-called white children, right? In their zombie dreams. They explain to you why. Yahuwah declared that he will stir up Mishraim against Mishraim, and they will fight, each against his brother and each against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Yasha'u, Isaiah 19:2. Now, without turning to the next slide, with your humble and decent sense, what kingdoms are in charge and ruling right now? Are they the so-called black people? Or are they the so-called Asian? Who runs majority of the world now? Okay, understand. So you can get out of your head. Don't get in your feelings because you at the wrong study. You need to go somewhere else. You're thinking we talk about you because you're white, so-called white, or we trying to put black people on another pedestal. Get into the truth so you understand what's coming. Understand this. Mishraim against Mishraim means oppressor against oppressor. Yes, so-called white people have been oppressed in America too. Not like so-called black people. Let's be real with that. But they have intentionally put the so-called black people against each other. And what was it? The president's name? LBJ, Lyndon something Johnson, whatever the B stands for. He said that you can rob the so-called white man if you can put them against someone who they believe they're better than. Okay, I'm not quoting that exactly, but that's the overall statement. I don't care how much you voted as a so-called white person, you've been robbed. Not like so-called black people, but you've been robbed. But understand what's really taking place. The Most High is going to put Mishraim against Mishraim, those who oppressed against those who oppressed, and he's going to bring down kingdoms in this way, which is exactly what America is doing right now. It is crumbling under its own makeup, oppression, and the people are going after each other. This is exactly why I have been telling people, let the wicked destroy the wicked. Who are the wicked? The lawless. The wicked aren't wicked because of their skin complexion, and they're not particularly deemed wicked because of what their ancestors have done. You are wicked because you reject the law. You reject righteous living. That is what is defined as wickedness according to the one who is the only true judge. So he's going to put these people together. As we see now, it's happening more than ever. They're using the guy named Trump. They call him the Orange Man. So funny. But they're using him to bring, the Most High is using him to bring judgment on the nation against the people who are oppressed. Can you not see what's happening? They're all after each other, right? This is why the word tells us, the prophetic future event says that at that time I will deal with all those who afflicted you, and I will save her who limps and gather her who is driven out. I will appoint them for esteem and for a name in all the land where they were put ashamed. We know who these people are. We did enough study on this, okay? Zephaniah or Zephaniah, don't have the verse here, but it is in the chapter for sure. Thought I put it here. But yes, it is definitely going to be a a retribution per se. And it will come by way of great tribulation upon the people who oppress the people. But that tribulation, again, belongs to who? The wicked. He's not appointed the righteous and the elect for tribulation as far as the judgment of the tribulation. Hard times, yes. Setbacks, yes. Persecution, yes. But the judgment, famine, no food, destruction, never again to rise, that belongs to the wicked, not the people who have joined themselves to Yahuwah and remain such. What happens to the Hebrews? Okay, we talked about so-called white people, right? Being the majority of the zombies in people's dreams. Again, I have the dream, and other people have the dream. They shared it with me. I'm not making this stuff up. But even more so, look at what they portray in Hellywood. Ever see these apocalyptic zombie type movies? Majority of the people, the stars for the most part, and those who are continually in the scenes are who? So-called white people. They're not telling you something because they're being so-called racist. They're sending out messages. I was sharing this just a few studies back. When they get up to announce on the news, whatever it may be, some news conference, breaking news, message, whatever, movies, TV shows, social media posts, advertisement, they're sending one message, but two different understandings are going out. Okay, one understanding is going to one people, and one understanding is going to another people. I don't like getting all into the movie thing because I'm not trying to, promote movies or nothing like that. But I'm showing you that the wicked has been telling the story for a long time. But now your job is to find out what the truth, according to the word, says about their stories. We know that in this so-called I Am Legend movie, what did you have? You have a Will Smith's, aka Token, right? that's supposed to try to restore, save humanity. Who shows up in his house, or who shows up to protect and brings him back to his house, and all these different things. And what type of zombies was he trying to save? Think about it, right? This is all part of their agenda because the evil people know what's coming long before the people who even read the word. That's why it's so important to have the truth in context and let the breath of the Most High lead you in your studies to navigate through all the deception. The truth says, though your people, O Yasharel, are as the sand of the sea, only a remnant will return. And destruction is decreed, overflowing with righteousness. Yashayahu 10, or Isaiah chapter 10, verse 22. Right? There's a dream that my wife had shortly after, or the next day, I believe it was a dream that I had that I shared here. But the dream she had is about being ready. It's about a remnant. Not everybody can go. Family members, friends, co-workers, neighborhood people you thought was going to go, people you think that could go. They're not going to be able to go because the Most High is going through the earth looking to see who he may show himself strong to, those whose hearts are loyal to him. He is not picking the people who are doing what they want to do. You can read this story on the blogs at movingmindsetministry.org. It's the latest blog that's posted, but nonetheless, understand this is why you don't see the so-called Hebrews in these apocalyptic movies. They're not explaining to you what's happening. They don't want you to realize the reality that judgment fell on the land and Jacob perished as a whole. A remnant survived. Okay? A remnant made it through according to the hand and the will of the Most High. That's what took place. Okay? They'll tell you some other nonsense. This is why the elect saw the future age to come. Important reality here. The Most High knew what the people would face. And because they were picked by him, they knew enough to ask about what would come later down the line. They knew that. Okay? When you read the Apocalypse of Peter, which is what the wicked did not want you to have in your so-called Bibles. They didn't want you to have this in your Bibles, because then you would understand what all actually was taking place on the Mount of Olives and what was revealed to the people. They want you in church mentality with their Hellenization images that they paint, so you don't get a glimpse of what to expect to really prepare yourself internally for what is coming. But nonetheless, in chapter 1, verse 5, it says, and going with him, Yahusha, we, the 12 taught ones, besought him that he would show us one of our righteous brethren that had departed out of the world, that we might see what manner of men they are in their form, and take courage, and encourage also the men that should hear us. Okay, they wanted evidence, they wanted proof that when they pass from this life to the next, they would be able to receive that they know there will be a true promise on the other side. Again, understand, it was a long time before a messenger, a Malak, was among the people like it was during the time of 𝤉𤄄𤅄 or Isaiah or Yashayahu or any of the other so-called prophets. So they wanted to know, because they were getting ready to go and do his will. They were getting ready to go out and be to whom he had chosen and taught them to be. So they wanted some evidence of what it looks like. Okay. And of course, the Yahusha provided them with the proof. The righteous right arm of the Most High provided them with the proof of what is expected after this age for the righteous and the elect. Okay. And they appeared to them. And again, the reason being is because they understood what they were coming up against. They saw the type of atrocity, persecution, hatred, and what they wanted to do to Yahusha, because he was Yahuwah in the flesh. Somebody told me earlier that he wasn't Yahuwah in the flesh. That's because you speak to the whatever. Most High and talk to you. Anyways, so Yahusha they saw what they wanted. They wanted to stone him. They tried to throw him off a cliff. They did a lot of things. So they wanted some reassurance that in their journey of doing the will of the Almighty, going out speaking to the brothers and sisters of the assembly about repentance and following the truth, the law, obeying and submitting to it, that if they would pass from this life, how will they end up in the next, right? Imagine seeing something like that. You know you're getting ready to go into one hellacious battle to stand for the namesake of the Almighty. And you know what's coming on the back end of it, because you've heard about all the people before you, the forefathers, and how they stood, as it describes in Hebrews chapter 11, things that they endured. Some overcame, some didn't. But they wanted a reassurance, and he gave it to them. Could you imagine that? The revelation of people who came before you. He said, show us our brethren, not some random person. We also have those, again, who do the journey but don't necessarily die because of the journey. Just get old, right? Your body starts to wear out. What you used to do enthusiastically, you cannot even do no more, right? All these things, again, were going through the minds of men who were not weird. They didn't have no, I want to get up to Shemaim type, ridiculous stuff. And they weren't all, they weren't taking a bunch of supplements, trying to make sure they get all that good eating in so they can prolong their life. They knew what was coming. Either they were going to die by old age or die by circumstances because they're standing in the namesake of the Most High. So they wanted reassurance, and he showed it to them. They even got to see the land, the promise, the paradise, where you don't have no drama, no issues, right? You read the book of Baruch. It talks about how time will not wear out the body of those who are transformed when they are brought back or transcend before and don't have to deal with death. He said time will not wear their flesh out. But those who are born in corruption, you're going to look like a zombie and a zombie on top of a zombie. And the kicker part about it is forever. That's why the scripture says the worm will not rot. Twice Yahushua make that known. Even cross-reference it with the so-called Old Testament. I did some studies on that before. All esteem belongs to the Most High. Then you get to the prophet Yashayahu, Isaiah. He went out doing the work of the Most High. Most High said, who will I send? This is one of the very few times somebody actually got to volunteer to be a malak in the flesh, a messenger. He said, who will I send? He said, I'll go. Volunteered himself. Truth is, he was already volunteered from Shemayim. That's why the Most High was talking to him. That's why you heard that question. However, the prophet said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for emptiness and breath. Yet surely my judgment is with Yahuwah, and my mighty and my reward is with my owl. He was tired. Chapter 49, verse 4. Isaiah, the prophet Yashayahu, was tired. He was frustrated because he was dealing with all kind of rebuttals from everybody. The people who should have listened, should have obeyed. He was persecuted. He crying out to the Most High because of how overwhelming it was for him to do the work that was given to him. Especially when you see the people who should have eyes to see, because, you know, it's right there in front of them. How many of you dealt with that before? I deal with it a lot. People make very dumb statements, and I'm thinking to myself, like, geez, you cannot see because you don't want to. But nonetheless, that wears out on people. And the more wisdom you get about the times you're living in, the more sorrowful you become. Especially when you look around and see what you've been revealed to you manifest in your face. It's a sad thing to look out in this world and see how lost people are and don't want to be found. Nonetheless, this is what the Most High said. Therefore, will no longer be an infant who lives only a few days, nor an old man who does not feel his days, for children will die 100 years old, and the sinner 100 years old will be considered cursed, accursed. They will build houses and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and will eat their fruit. They will not build and another inhabit it. They will not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and trees be lasting a long time, and my chosen ones will long enough for the work of their hands. They will not labor in vain, nor bring forth children in terror, for they are the offspring of the blessed of Yahuwah, and the descendants with them, and their descendants with them, and the wolves and the lamb will feed together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox, and dust will be the serpent's food. They will not hurt nor destroy in all my consecrated mountain, says Yahuwah. Yashayahu, Isaiah 65, 20-21. Yeah, look at that barakah that the Most High is going to bring on his people. And Yashayahu got to see this to help reassure him that he is not working in vain, to help him not throw in the towel, punk out, and quit. He didn't call him for nothing, as the enemy tries to make people think. He called him for explicit purpose. So we got to see the land, other people dwelling in it, enjoying themselves, no stress, no worry, no fear, no none of that nonsense. Lions eating straw instead of flesh, changing the game on them, right? All of them hanging out, only the serpent eating dust like a you know what. And the children playing, laughing. A child will be a child that dies will be 100 years old. Man, and those who don't will live on to be as old as a tree. And again, as the scripture shows us in 2nd Baruch, that there will not be any whom time will wear down on their body. He tells the Most High, says, when you see this, your heart will rejoice and your bones will flourish like the grass. The hand of Yahuwah will be known towards his servants, and the hand and his indignation towards his enemies. Yashayahu chapter 66, verse 14. It's called judgment, righteous judgment, and justice for the righteous, those who practice righteousness Don't believe that Christian nonsense. Talking about ain't nobody righteous, so you might just believe and then give up. How many times I heard that stupid saying? There is righteousness, and there are righteous people that exist. Yes, they did not live perfect, and they are not without sin as far as the conviction of doing wrong. However, they are righteous because they practice. They don't belong to the devil who practice sin. Then we get to 𝤉𝐄𝐿 or Ezekiel, the dry bones prophecy, powerful, powerful prophecy to reassure the people, even in his last days of the restoration and / redemption that he promised. And those dry bones he saw, he told them to speak. And when he spoke, they started to rattle, started to come together, right? This prophecy is not talking about the, what do you call it? The rapture, or not the rapture, but I'm losing my train of thought here. He's not talking about the coming out the grave, right? Coming back out the grave. This is talking about the people scattered around the nations arising and coming to the knowledge of themselves. This is what this is. So the skin came on the bones, and after the bones came together, and they became an army of people risen to themselves. And the truth says that they were basically saying they were cut off. They're not able to return. And the Most High said, "No, I got that. I'm gonna take care of that. I'm gonna bring y'all back, but just rise up." Excuse me. A lot of people are under the impression, so-called black people, that this is the rise, and from this rise of what you see all these so-called Hebrews walking around telling themselves or telling other people that they're chosen. Yep, best believe he's bringing people back to the knowledge of themselves. He is rising up the dry bones as we speak. But what they completely miss is the repeated truths from Genesis to Revelation and all the books they didn't want you to read about. Most people who rise up from the house of Jacob will not return to the land. They will be perished under judgment that is righteous. And the reason being is because they're going to come back to life, all to realize what they see they really don't want to do. They're going to do it with lies. They're going to not do it. They're going to half do it. They're going to pretend to do it. And the Most High is going to rid himself of all this nonsense. Okay, this is what the prophet saw. Okay, so when you talk about the massive army that rises, he's not talking about massive in numbers. Okay, he's talking about massive in strength of obedience. Again, the numbers was never a thing for the Most High. He did not choose them, as the scripture says, because they were the most. He chose them. They were the least. He said, "I chose you because that's a promise that he made to Abraham, because Abraham found favor with the Most High." But nonetheless, those who do make it, he's going to join two sticks together, as the scripture says, and he's going to bring them together where they sit under one king. They will be no longer divided. There will be no longer two kingdoms. There will be one unified kingdom, and there will be no hatred that will exist, no jealousy that will exist, no division that will exist among them. So imagine how many people he had to get rid of to get to that place, because he's not going to make you unified. He's not going to make you do anything. He's going to lay it before you. You accept it, good. You be a part of it. But when it's all said and done, that overflowing decree of righteousness is going to reduce the house drastically, as we are seeing really happen right now, because of the internal blindness of the people. But yes, nonetheless, the rise has occurred. 𝤉𝐿 saw this long before it's happening as we speak, in order to prove that the Most High does not lie. He will wake you up just to prove to the world his word does not return void. But he will also prove again his word will not return void when he perished the rebels. And the nations see this, and they will humble. A lot of them will humble themselves, of the nations, in order to come into the house and receive a name better than sons and daughters. There will be a remnant, again, who will return. Those of you who believe you are of Jacob, yes, there will be a remnant. So take that to heart if you truly want redemption, and stop pretending, because the Most High knows your heart. There's no such thing as faking it till you make it. You fake yourself right into the lake, and then you have to do, and then you have to do the darn law in torment. That's what it says in Second Esdras. Yeah, those who scorn his law and rejected his name, they're going to do it in torment. Yeah. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah, thus is the sovereign Yahuwah. Now I will restore the fortunes of Yaakov and have compassion on the whole house of Yasharah. Whole house, he's not talking about every one of the people. He's talking about every one of the tribes. Okay. He says he's going to have a whole a compassion on every one of his tribes. No longer it's just going to be the southern getting it and the northern not, XYZ. And I will be jealous for my consecrated name. Oh, he talking about some Yahweh Shai, God, JC, whatever nonsense that somebody told you. Somebody told you that ain't got no doggone testimony, no consistency with the word, just gave you something that felt good. Oh, it was revealed to me. But you can't explain how it was revealed to you. Most I don't like lies, and he sure can't stand liars. After they have bore the shame and all their unloyal ways, which by they were unloyal to me when they dwelt safely in their land, and no one made them afraid. When I have brought them back from the peoples and gathered them out of the enemy's land, and am consecrated in them, in the sight of many nations. Did we just talk about that? Yeah. Then they will know that I am who? Yahuwah, the Al, the Mighty One, who sent them into exile among the nations, but also gathered them to their own land, and left none of them there any longer. And I will not hide my face from them anymore when I pour out my breath upon the house of Yasharah, declares the sovereign Yahuwah. Yahaskal 20, 25 to 29. Such an important prophetic word here. Take heed to. He said when he consecrates himself before what? The sight of many nations, many Gentiles. But there will be a purging that will happen. 2/3 will be cut off in the land in which they dwell before he even begin to gather his people. It will be part of the great shakening. And those who let's make sure we get the context here. First, he says he's going to consecrate them before the nations, and they're going to know his name. Okay, and they're going to know that he sent them into exile into the nations. He hid his face. Okay, he hid his face. He said, but also gather them out. He's going to gather them out. And he will no longer hide his face from the people anymore, will pour out his breath on the house. But the first thing he has to do is consecrate the people. And go back and look. There was no such thing as consecration without persecution, without hard times, without setback struggles, headaches, and all the other things that come along with being Kadesh, to being separated from the world and their stupid ways and the evils of these nations. Okay, so once he consecrates, then the scripture says he will gather his people. So all these people that's running back to the so-called promised land, thinking they made it back, so you done skipped over prophecy for your own benefit because you listening to the devil. And the Most High ain't told you nothing contrary to his word. So then we get along down the line and we get to your cubs, or actually going kind of backwards, but we'll get to your cub or Jacob's ladder, the dream that he had. And in that dream, he saw that there were messengers ascending and descending from Shemayim, the heavens. And the Most High was at the top of the ladder. Okay. And the scripture tells us, and Jacob went from Beersheba toward Haran. And he came unto a certain place and stayed there all night because the sun had gone down. And he looked for the stone of that place and put them at his head, made him a pillow out of a stone, and laid down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and he looked a ladder up on the earth, and at the top and its top reached to Shemaim, and look, a messenger of Yahuwah. Messengers of Yahuwah were ascending and descending. And look, Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am Yahuwah, the owl of Abraham, your father, and the owl of Yasik. The land in which you lie, I will give to you and your seed will be as the dust of the earth, a whole bunch of people. And I will spread abroad, and you will spread abroad to the west, to the east, to the north, and the south. That's how the so-called black people got everywhere they got, because the Most High spread them out. And in you and in your seed, all the families of the earth will be barakah, or barak. It's supposed to be, it's blessed if you look at it in English, pagan English. But nonetheless, there was a promise that was made to Jacob that he will have a whole bunch of kids, descendants, and they will be spread all over the land, all over the four corners of the earth, not the stupid globe the evil tell people about, but all over the earth in the four corners. And he went on to say, and look, I am with you, and I will guard you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken to you. And Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely Yahuwah is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, how fearsome is this place? This is none other than the house of Yahuwah, and this is the gate of Shemaim. Beersheba. It's actually on a map that they didn't erase. They didn't erase it from a map in the Europeans that put together. You can go to movingmindsetministry.org and click on the Promised Land tab. And nevertheless, Genesis 28:10-17, he says that he actually fell asleep at Shemaim's gate, the way into Shemaim, the way into the heavens. And he heard the promise that no matter where he goes, no matter what he endures, he will never leave him until he fulfills his promise and brings him back to the land. The cub was going through it when he had received this revelation. He was going through a dream. He was going through a dream. I mean, hard times, struggle. That's why he stayed there and went to sleep. Because at the end of the day, he was tired. And I've had a lot of dreams myself when I was hungry and tired, fell asleep. Right? Kind of like a fasting stage. I don't want to say kind of like it really is. You're not eating, not drinking, so you fasted. But he revealed to him that it doesn't matter what he faces or what he goes through, the trial that he endures, he will always be there, no matter how they were scattered to the four winds, to the four corners, because of the rebellion of the house of the people, the rebellion of what they did. Diaspora, movingmindsetministry.org. You can click on that to go through the history of the diaspora. Nevertheless, despite the scattering of Jacob, Yahuwah would never leave nor forsake us. Never. Point blank period. No matter what we went through, despite the rebellion that we have chose, our ancestors, even us today, out of ignorance, not knowing, and even rebellion after knowing. And I am evidence of this. All esteem belong to the Most High, of this reality of his promise not to leave his people. I don't say that from a place of pride, but of extreme gratitude, because I didn't even know. When I was a full-fledged church goer, I had no clue that I was from the Most High, seed of Jacob. I didn't know it. So when I found out, my world changed. And so did my expectations. But I had a dream. I had a dream that this demon came up on me and started attacking me. I said, I ain't scared of you. I ain't worried about you. That's what I said. And sure enough, demon slapped me back on my back and pinned me to the ceiling. And I was trying to say, JC. I was trying to open my mouth, but I was so seized up, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do squat. I couldn't do nothing. We just lay there. Couldn't move my arms, couldn't even move my mouth. And as tears started coming down my eyes, then I heard and I saw in my peripheral, the left side. It's kind of hard to recreate these scenes with these stupid AI images, but I saw my left peripheral this Malak in white, and I heard, don't call him JC. His name is Yahusha. So I started working them words out my mouth as hard as I could, because I wanted to be free. Ain't never felt nothing like that in my dream ever in my life. Eventually I said it, and I was released. Fell on the bed, and I kept on saying Yahusha, Yahusha over and over again. And my wife woke up, said, why you keep saying our son's name? And I said, I'm not. I'm saying this, and I explained the dream. Drenched, soaking wet, exhausted as all get out from that dream. I was fighting. Felt like I was fighting for my life. And I was freed. Yahuwah means, Yahusha means, Yahuwah is deliverance. This is Paleo letters. Paleo Hebrew letters. Yahusha means Yahuwah is deliverance. That's what it means. The people cannot put this together in their mind, trying to say he's two separate beings, because at the end of the day, he never spoke to them. He never gave them revelation. I have so many people keep trying to tell me, oh, he's not one being, that's blah, blah, whatever. You wouldn't even know the stupid Trinity doctrine if it wasn't for the Deuteronomy 28 curses. You wouldn't even know it. It was part of the curse. The people who hate you taught you that nonsense. The ancient Hebrew thought is one creator who does many different things. And above all, he redeems. And I was in a place that I needed redemption. And he said, don't call that stupid, pagan, evil, Roman concoction, demonic, hellacious, stinking name JC. He said his name is Yahusha. And I got freed. And ain't a damn thing a person can tell me. You can't even show me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about nobody testimony in JC name. It worked when you was in JC name because you was in Mishraim. You was under Babylonian curses. You was under the wicked's rule. And the Most High delivered you under that JC, GOD, LORD, whatever them dumb names is, because he was showing his continual, I will never leave you nor forsake you favor. Same what he did with ancient Mishraim. He didn't deliver them out of he didn't keep them while they were in Mishraim under persecution because they said his true name. If they said his true name, then why did Moshe say, what name should I tell them when they ask me who sent me? Yeah. They were following pagan deities. They were fully corrupted and oppressed at the same time. However, he preserved them in the land of captivity because he had a promise to keep and a reputation to uphold and a name to preserve. And it wasn't no damn JC, LORD, any of that crap people keep saying. So when you talk to me and I don't respond back, that's why. Especially when I done told you more than once to stop saying them damn pagan names, violating the third commandment. I get tired of hearing that nonsense. It's disrespectful and it's slapping the Most High's face to keep saying G-O-D. Your oppressor taught you that. The evil people taught you that nonsense. The people who hate you taught you G-O-D. Why the hell you keep saying it? Let me get on off this, getting all hot up in here. The request to reveal the sacred name in Enoch. This is something that I read after the name was revealed to me. Solidified the revelation in which I received again. I wasn't looking for no name. I went out searching for revelation. I was not seeking confirmation. I was under Babylonian curses. I was under Deuteronomy 28 curses. I had lost the memory of the knowledge of who I was per Deuteronomy 32. So I was okay with JC nonsense, LORD garbage. I wasn't too fond of the so-called that pale pagan image, but I was, JCing it up. Okay. LORD, all that nonsense. Plenty of posts I used to share with them pagan titles. But when he had revealed this word to me, this further sealed the deal, drove the nail in the coffin. Why I will never say them damn names again. I don't care what you tell me. He spoke to the Kadesh, Mikael, to make known to them the sacred name. so that he might understand that sacred name and remember the oath, and so that those who revealed every hidden thing to the children of man would tremble at that name and the oath. This is Enoch, Chinook, Hanok, pronounced several other ways, whatever. It's not the true paleo name anyways. But nonetheless, it's chapter 69, 18 through 22. There was a Malak. He was called the one he oversaw righteousness and dreams. Wanted to know the secret name. So from Michael, who was there to guard the sacred name. And so that he can reveal that name. And Enoch, again, who saw it all. Ain't nothing he missed. The Most High just opened up the whole thing. Everything man needed to know, or as far as everything needed to see or know, as far as this age is concerned, and what would come in the next age, and how things move. But before, of course, obviously before the pagans got a hold of the scriptures, but Enoch saw it all. And he was asking, "Hey, can you reveal?" Michael was like, "Why do you want it?" He said, "Because I want to speak that name, so that people can tremble. The vow can tremble. The oath you spoke." Okay, the oath. This is kind of the breakdown of the oath, of what was in the oath. When you go back and read the chapter that I mentioned, okay, it's so what the oath covers is a stroke of the embryo in the womb to diminish it, a stroke to the ruah, the breath, the inner being, by the bite of the serpent, a midday stroke of the offspring of the serpent. The offspring of the serpent, the name is Tabet. The offspring has a number, and is the number called Kashabal. Kashabal is the principal part of the oath. The oath has a name, which is Becca. The oath is powerful. The oath is strong. The oath is called the oath of Achaia, if I'm pronouncing those correctly. So basically, this is what the oath covers. All right. We're going to break it down using Paleo Hebrew words to understand what these words mean and what the oath really represents. And we're going to start with Kashbal, the Hebrew breakdown. Okay, these are the Paleo Hebrew letters. Remember, you got to read Paleo Hebrew from right to left. Okay, it's not left to right. So for all you out there that believe you are of Jacob and wonder why, you were constantly writing the wrong way, your teacher kept saying stop, or your parent kept saying stop because you kept writing from right to left instead of left to right, and they call you dyslexia. No, that was your natural makeup, their natural way of writing. But they try to change it and call it a bad habit because they didn't want you to remember who you are. They want you to stay pagan clowns. Anyways, so the first letter, Kef, I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not pronouncing it right, don't worry about it. Most High can restore a pure tongue unto his people. So get it right for all you out there thinking it's supposed to be done right now. It's after great judgment falls on the land. Anyways, open hand, palm, to cover, to hold, to bend, to authority, exercise, and restraint. Shin, knee, or teeth, consume, destroy, press, devour, shape, force. Beth, or would be, house, tent, house inside, within, family, dwelling, structure. Alpha, ox head, strength, power, leader, first authority. Lambda, shepherd, staff, rod, authority. So let's say God, Goad. I'll get it right when that time comes. Control, direction, instruction. Right. So what does this actually break down when we put these together? Right. When you just give a quick understanding of when you use these Paleo Hebrew letters, the letters mean words. Right. They're not like A means apple. Right. These letters actually mean words, and the words help you understand. The letters put together help you understand the word. Right. So from right to left, we have authorized restraint that consumes consumption within and brings it under control. So that's what kashbal means, to authoritative restraint that consumes corruption inside and brings it under control. Whose name does that sound like to you? Becca, Paleo Hebrew breakdown. Again, we're going from right to left. So we got the B, the Beth, house tent, house inside, within, family dwelling structure. Got the same thing as the first one last time. The K, Kef, Kaf, open, palm open hand, to cover, to hold, to bend, authority exercised by restraint. Alpha, H, ox head, strength, power, leader, first authority. What does that mean? Authority that restrains what is within. Authority that restrains what is in. Okay. Then we got the Akea. I'm saying that correctly. Paleo Hebrew breakdown. Same thing. Alpha. We got the ox head. Kapha. Open palm. Alpha. Ox head again. And the he or the E, man with raised hand, window. Behold, reveal, breath, declaration, something made known. What does that break down to? Revealed authority that restrains by supreme power. Man, who's that sound like to you? So you got Becca, authority restraining what is within. Yeah, a kid, revealing supreme authority, exercising restraint. Combined sense, put them together, you got revealed, supreme authority that restrains from within by enforced decree. Don't that sound like the word to you? The power of the word? Yeah. The name of the oath is Yahusha. That is the name. The name that he wanted to reveal in order that trembling may occur. So we're going to break down Yahusha real quick through scriptural witnesses to prove this. The scripture says, you will call on the name of Yahusha. He will save his people from their sins. What sins? Not to save his people from whose sins? Their sins. The sins within them. Restraint. Yeah. Authority. Decree. Matthew 1:21. There is no other name under Shemayim given among men by which you must be saved. Acts chapter 4, verse 10 through 12. It ain't no JC, period. It ain't no JC because, again, the J didn't even exist to the 1500s. So, I don't care about no Y or no I, none of that nonsense. They changed it around because even that's stupid. If you couldn't say the I version of the JC and you had to change to a J, whatever, all that is confusion to keep you from the real true name. Again, I didn't ask for the name. It was dropped on me unexpectedly so I can stop saying pagan curses over myself under that damn name. For the Abba judges no one, but has given all judgment to the Son, so that all may esteem the Son, even as they esteem Abba, who sent him. Yahukahanan, or John chapter 5, 22 to 23. Check this out. It ain't got nothing to do with no son the way you think. What they taught people in church, okay? It is one deity, one mighty one, the right arm, the righteous arm, the righteous right hand extended. Yahuwah manifested himself into Yahusha HaMashiach. That's why, in Paleo Hebrew understanding, Yahusha is Yahuwah deliverance. That's what the meaning is. Okay? And this message for those with ears to hear and eyes to see, or just at least one of the two. And when he came, and when he had come, he will reprove. And when he has come, he will reprove the world concerning sin, concerning righteousness, and concerning judgment. Sounds like a name. Sounds like a name that causes what? Tremble, restraint, authority by decree. Yahukahanan 16, 8 through 11. Behold, this child, again, seed of the house, branch, not child in the way we've been taught through liology from churchianity. Okay. Behold, the child in place. This child is place for the falling and rising of many in Yasharel, and for a sign spoken against, so that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. Luke 2:20 or 34 through 35. We know that when Yahusha came, they wanted to destroy him. Who? Not the Romans. The Romans didn't care because the Romans were doing the Roman thing. The people who wanted to destroy Yahusha was the house of Yasharal, more specifically, the tribe of Yehuda and Benjamin, because the majority of the northern kingdom was already gone. So the people who, again, of his lineage, who excuse me, who rejected his appearance, the revelation of the Most High in the flesh, man, the law made flesh, they rejected that, and they wanted to kill him. Nonetheless, this is the judgment, that the light has come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. But the one who does the truth comes to the light, that his works may be revealed as having been done in Yahuwah. Yochanan 3:19-21. That's why people don't like Yahusha. They don't like light. They like darkness. No matter how loud they speak and spew stuff from their mouth on the corners, pulpits, or wherever the case may be, they hate light. And you know it because their deeds don't align with the words in which they speak. They hate truth in context. Again, I heard, do not call him JC. His name is Yahusha, the name revealed unto me. I didn't ask for the name. I did not ask for it. I did not hope that maybe I would some kind of whatever way, XYZ, figure it out, because I didn't even know to look for nothing like that. I didn't even know to look for something different. I didn't know to search out another name. That's the beauty behind it. And I share that to go along with all the other testimonies that I have spoken of here. And of course, all the others that exist in the word, the multitude that Yahuwah saw, that was in the Shemayim, which will be heaven on earth, will be done from Shemayim on earth. He saw a multitude of every nation, tongues, tribes, languages, whatever. Okay, all peoples. He didn't see just a certain group of people. He didn't see only Hebrews. He saw a variation. And it was no one can number them. Understand what he saw. Okay? The scripture says that no one can number them. A multitude that no one could number. He didn't say that no one could count, because if you wanted to, you can count it, right? You just line people up and you count until you get everybody through. What he's saying is numbering, as in you can't put a number on who was first, who was 25th, who was 88, who was 6 million, who was 27, whatever the case may be. No man can number. Be saying that every tribe, every nation, every tongue came in to Shemayim, into Zion, into his Kadesh mountain. Okay? But all these were revealed to the Malakim in the flesh, the messengers, which you have learned as prophets. And the purpose of this is so that you would have hope in the age to come, that you will not surrender your hope in this wicked age under affliction, under persecution, under whatever you may come up against. My hope is sealed because of what I have seen. It's not just the name revealed to me. So many dreams were explained that never made sense before the name, until after the name came. I used to have a lot of these underground dreams as kids, entering to a big house, going to the third floor, staying on the third floor, these furniture the size that giant sits in. I could never understand these dreams until I had awakened to the name and went back and started reading things like the book of Enoch, Ezra, and other apocalyptic scriptures, apocryphal scriptures, and to see the consistency of those dreams that they had, that were pieces given to me to sustain me. And then after the name was revealed, so many other things I was able to see. I seen judgment, the lake under a volcano, and so many other things. That's why I'm so sold out for the truth. And I don't flinch and tuck tail when people say God, Lord, and all these other stupid names that I keep telling people. There's no way you would have not known that if it wasn't for the disobedience of your ancestors. So anyways, all esteem belongs to the Most High. Understand, that's why they didn't quit. That's why they didn't throw in the towel. They left you proof through the word. They left you evidence that deliverance is not simply you going up to heaven. You're not going to poof be gone and your clothes stay on the earth and your naked body somehow floats away into the abyss of nothingness. Go back, if you haven't looked at it, go look up or read the book of the second book of Baruch, the Apocalypse of Baruch, and see how he asks what will be the actual appearance, the makeup, the body of a man and a woman when they have transformed and they are the righteous ones. He said you're going to maintain this body, but it will become incorruptible and your face will shine with bright light. You will become like the Malakim and Shemaim. Time will not wear you out. For me, those are great evidence, great testaments, great truths to help encourage and continue to move according to the will of the Most High, walking in his word, casting down lies and vain imaginations, standing against imposters, not having long, drawn-out, ridiculous debates over stuff with people whose eyes are shut and ears are closed. It's important things to know. He wanted us to know that there is much more than what the eyes can see. There is way much more than what you can behold by the human eye, especially one that's been hoodwinked by Hellywood, by colonization and Hellenization. They don't want your eyes open. They don't want you to understand the power, especially from the tribes of Jacob, the history. I look at these people who are colonizers, who still run nations, and I go and I look at their individual history, their resume, and their portrayals. And it's all fantasy because I see the reality of them, and I go back to the word and I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't even see a fraction of what you claim you were supposed to be as a Jew in the word. Yeah. Weak, lying, jellyback people. They don't give off no kind of impression of having the hand of the Most High on them. It's an important piece to realize so that you can be encouraged as you continue your journey along the way. Because best believe the times of trouble is already here. And the tribulation that was told to Baruch and that was told to Daniel, Yahaskal, Yashiahu, to Peter, or Kepha, or all the other people out there who were explicitly called and sent by the Most High is at the door. And it's not going to be easy for the weak. And I mean weak in standing against the rebelliousness of this world. People who just deliberately want to do as thou wilt, the enemy's going to come and swipe you right off your feet, just like a Prince Charming coming to get his princess. The scripture says in Daniel, he said he will flatter those who do wickedly against the covenant, who just don't want to do nothing right, make excuses for every doggone thing. I don't know how many people comment and ask me how can this be and that be, and their answer that they're looking for is affirmation for how they can violate the law. It's like someone was trying to tell me, well, we don't all live together as we did in the ancient days, in the Bible days. So that means that when it's time to have they say a holy convocation, that we can leave our houses and go meet each other and drive. And I asked the person, I said, well, where's that in the law? And they say, well, it's not. But JC did it. They even say Yahusha did it because they want to sound covenant correct. But they don't read enough and don't care to read enough to realize or accept what they read, that the scripture says that he had no home. He had nowhere to lay his head. And even the disciples said that they gave up everything to follow him. So they had no house to run up under in Shabbat. And just as the breath of the Most High moves through the earth so that you don't die and that you can still have and receive and walk according to truth, so did Yahusha and those whom he had picked from the foundation of the earth moved on Shabbat. You need to understand there's no such things as synagogues. That was not created by the kings, the law, the prophets, the judges. That came after judgment had fell, and the Greeks and the Romans mixed and mingled with the nations, and they wanted to do as they always done. The hell-bound, rebellious Hebrews did what they always wanted to do, which was be like the Gentiles. So they set up synagogues. That's why you never hear Yahusha going to a synagogue and having a fallout good time speaking truth. It was always some type of rebuttal, some type of conflict, a judgment went on there, because it was the synagogue of who? Hashatan. That was their gathering. That's why they did it on the Shabbat. But Moshe told the people, according to the law, stay in your dwellings on Shabbat. Don't use no doggone excuse to go, well, I asked the person very clearly. It makes all kind of simple sense, right? You go out on a Shabbat to go gather and fellowship and study, but your car break down. You run out of gas. And you have the only means you have to get from A to Z after that is to pay for some type of assistance. Maybe it's a tow truck, or you got to purchase gas. So now you not only left your dwelling on the Shabbat, but you now actively involved in shopping, commerce on the Shabbat. But you know what? The person came back with something stupid to say, and I realized that conversation was over. Ain't nothing else I can say to that person. Why? No one can come to Yahusha unless Yahuwah draws that person. So when you speak as Yahusha spoke, and they keep speaking like the devil, the Most High did not draw them. I don't care how much they study. I don't care how much they read. I don't care how much scripture they share. I don't care how deep covenant language they use, that they can speak Paleo Hebrew only. If they haven't been drawn to the Most High, drawn to Yahusha by the Most High, you are talking to the walking dead, and you're going to get walking dead responses. So save your energy, save your oil. You only got so much oil. Okay, you only have so much to store, so much space to store your oil. Save your oil, so when the lights go out at midnight and the cry is heard, meet the bridegroom for the wedding feast. You're not running around trying to figure out how you can get some oil. Scrolling through variations of platforms on social media, seeing how you can get some oil. Showing up to church and going down to the altar and trying to rededicate for some oil. Or opening up your pocketbook and writing a check for some oil. Buying 10 steps to your blessing for some oil. No. When the Most High gives you oil, he gives you pearls. Do not cast it on those whom Yahusha has not received, because they were not drawn to the Most High. They were not drawn. Those who don't talk, those who don't receive the words we speak, those who have truly been called are, above all things, Satan's children. Point blank, period. So all esteem again belongs to the Most High Yahuwah, for he alone is worthy. He alone is true. No weapon formed against us will prosper, and every tongue that rises against us will be condemned. And guess what? I'm going to make sure this verse is correct. Hold on. Because I don't want to just be saying something. Let me go back and get it all in here. Yes. Yashayahu, Isaiah 17. No weapon formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you will condemn. This is what the inheritance of who? Churchgoers, camp members, people who wear fringes, those who say they are Hebrews, those who are Gentiles who say they have become spiritual tribe of Levi. Negative. This inheritance is for the servants of Yahuwah, and their righteousness is of him, nobody else. That's why I don't need nobody's approval. And I say often, don't say thank you to me at all. Don't thank me for nothing. If I do anything for you, you give that honor to the Most High. You esteem him. You palau, or you halal, you petition, you barak the Most High, not me, because I am nothing but a vessel. That's it. Sign in the roll. So again, go back and look at those testaments that were given about the people who were called explicitly by the Most High and received prophetic revelation of the age to come, so that you can be fortified and sustained. And at the end of the day, you don't have an excuse to quit. You don't have an excuse to throw in the towel. They used to tell us when we was in special operations training, find an excuse to win. My excuse to win is damn this world and everything it has to offer. I'm ready for whatever the Most High has in this tribulation phase to move on to better promises, because I, again, know that when it's all said and done, if you die in truth, you rise in righteousness for everlasting, forevermore. Nonetheless, I don't want to perish in this age. I love to transcend, like one of the Malachim or one of the messengers, Enoch or Baruch or Ezra. But if not, again, damn this world, to hell with everything it has to offer. I don't give a hoot. If this is my last study, so be it. So be it. I want to hear him say, well done. I don't want to hear him say, away from me, I never knew you because you was practicing lawlessness. You know you was a church goer. Sure, you said everything right and still went to hell because your heart was not in the place it should be, and your actions didn't equate to such. You was faking the funk until they caught up to you. And the Most High the whole time was like, I smell you. I smell you. They may not smell you, but he smell you. But all esteem again belongs to the Most High. For those of you, again, who support the work the Most High gives this ministry, this gathering, this assembly, through this evil digital system that's going to probably shadow ban the heck out of this video because I said Jew too many times. I esteem the Most High for you because you listen to him and not me. We don't need to request for anything from what we do here because that's not how he does it. He said, freely you receive, freely you give, and whatever you need, I'll make it happen for you. Yeah, we should be all taking care of each other as they did in Acts, as the assembly did in Acts. There should be nobody lacking among the people. But nonetheless, we're going to have that lacking because too many people are out trying to be, world changers and successful. Checking off their bucket list, saving up for their vacation, all those other kind of things. At the end of the day, when you die, the last thing you're gonna be, if you go to hell, you are not gonna be thinking about no damn vacation you went on trying to help appease your pain. No, sir, no, ma'am. What you're gonna be thinking about is, damn, I should have skipped that vacation. I should have skipped that sucker and everything else I did. But nope, you're gonna be in torment forever, still honoring the law you thought wasn't necessary because the pastor said it's done away with. He's gonna be down there with you too, saying, damn it, I should have listened. I knew I was lying to these people. And the Most High said, you worthless shepherd, you get down there with them. Y'all could enjoy hell together. Do you want that for your life? I sure as hell don't want it for mine. So all esteem belongs to the Most High for the truth. If you support again, all esteem belongs to the Most High for what you do for this ministry. And I hope that the Most High, that you will walk in the truth so he will turn more than just sevenfold on top of your head and in your family life, but he will give you wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing. Woo, man, if you got wisdom, people can't, you can have all this stuff in the world. You You can have money, influence, all that. But when you got wisdom, oh man, you walk into the room, you don't even open your mouth, and people know you entered. Because there's something about the wisdom of the Most High that carries you in a way that the dumb got to sit down and listen. All right? Hey, let's walk according to the will of Abba Yahuwah. Let's walk according to his way. Let's reject all this world has to offer because it's fading away anyways. Fading away, your health fading away. You're trying to keep fitting into them pants. That ain't working no more. All these things are crumbling because the Most High is telling you this age is ending. But if you want eternity, come over here with me so you can thirst. So your thirst will be quenched eternally. Your hunger will be quenched eternally. You will never again deal with lack. Joy forevermore. Never remember this stupid age. All this thing belongs to the Most High. Remember, always be less. Take that B, separate it from the LESS. Be less, which means to reduce yourself so that he can give you all his barakah.